You know what I need to do is I need to get myself a hobby, because if I don't have a hobby, I don't really have, it's almost like I don't have an identity, because who am I? Who the fuck am I? What am I into, you know? So maybe you can help me with my hobby, figure out which hobby to get. There's a million hobbies out there. I need to choose one. You know, I've been thinking about yoga. You know, it's a healthy hobby. I got a lot of friends that tell me that yoga, you know, I got to do yoga. It's kind of like a cure-all, you know, it cures anything. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, my arm hurts. Hey, you got to get into yoga, you know, my buddy tells me. Or, you know, I can't sleep at night. You got to try yoga, man. It really helps me with my sleeping. Or how about, you know, I got shot in the stomach. Hey, he tells me, yoga, that's the cure. And so, you know, and I see apparently with yoga, what you do is you get yourself one of these mats like this, and you roll it up, and then you're ready to go to yoga like this. Like, hey, where are you going? "Yeah, I'm going to yoga. Check me out, I'm going to yoga." And that's pretty much the extent of what my involvement would be with this hobby, because as long as other people think that I'm going to yoga, that satisfies my need for a hobby. Because what I'm trying to do is create an ID, a person, myself, who's into something else, you know, and then from there I can branch into all kinds of other accessories that have to do with the hobby. Like for yoga, it's the mat, and people will see me with my mat and they'll go, "Hey, there goes Jason, you know, he's into yoga." That's kind of his persona, you know. So that's one option. And I got other friends that are really into gaming, video games. And this is a whole world of hobby. There's a million things you can do with that. One of the things I can do is get an accessory. I can get a super badass controller. You know, I can go down to the store and pick out, you know, some multi-function controller, and this is, I mean, this is weeks worth of a hobby just right there. I can get a whole chair, a gaming chair, and with that and my controller I can link into the gaming community worldwide, and that's a hell of a hobby, you know. But you know, I don't know, it's another option. Another third option is sports. Here's a whole world of stuff you can do with sports, right? Like, I can play a sport. I don't know which one, you know, maybe I'm not that good. It doesn't matter, because there's a million leagues out there of all different levels. And I can, you know, pay my fee and enter a league at my level. And then I can kind of squirrel into this whole sporting world of whatever sport I choose. And I can get the accessories for that. Like, every sport has the shoes for that sport, especially for that sport. So I'll go down, I'll get the shoes, you know. People see me with my shoes, they go, "Hey, there goes Jason, you know. I think he's into that sport, you know. He might be pretty good at it. I don't know, you know." So I can run with that, you know, and it's another way to create an ID persona through a hobby, which is what I'm getting after. And I really want to choose the right one, you know. You don't want to half-ass it. You don't want to pick out, some guys pick, you know, they're into like 6 or 8 different hobbies. That's too many. That's diluted. You diluted your persona. What you want to do is pick one and go all in and be it. Become it. Become the hobby. That's who you are, and you'll succeed. You know, but playing sports is, you know, maybe it's more of a commitment. You know, I'm kind of lazy. Maybe I want to be into sports, but I just want to watch them. And this is a hobby too, because every TV channel, the TV's got channels for any sport you want. You don't even have to be into one. You could be into several. You can just be into watching sports, per se. And you can have your friends over and have a barbecue. You can, you know, get in fights about what player's better than the other and who sucks and what coach, how you would have done it way different. If they only would have done it this way, you know, then it would have worked out, but they fucked it up. You know, and that's a cool hobby. You can take it further, because you can find and locate links to certain players. Like, for instance, let's say you know somebody who's had a sister that was going to go to some school for college, but she ended up getting knocked up and couldn't go to that school. But if she wouldn't have got herself knocked up, she would have went to this school, which turns out to happen to be the same school that player went to. And that's a fucking direct link to that player. It's almost like you're him or you're bros with that player. You're connected to that player, and then therefore you can find out all that player's statistics and tell all your friends about it, and they say, why do you know so much about that player? And you say, because I fucking linked to him, because I got a direct link to that fucking player, unlike you. You know, I got an advantage. I know this guy. You know, we're tight. And so watching sports is a whole nother hobby that could be for me, but I'm shopping around for hobbies, you know. I'm not going to be hasty in choosing my hobby. Some other hobbies, some of my friends are really into tattoos. And you say that's not a hobby, but it is a hobby, because you get one, then you want to get another. You know, after work, you got to go get a tattoo, or on the weekends, and you're constantly getting more. They take a long time to get. So it is a hobby, and I like it. You know, I don't have any tattoos yet, but I like them. I've always liked checking them out, and I'm hoping to maybe that's a hobby I can pursue. You know, and tattoos, I guess they don't make a person tough just by having a tattoo, but a lot of times, depending on your tattoo, you can look tough, and people think you're tough, and so you have a perception of toughness that I like. That's attractive to me, because I'm not. That could always be a little tougher. You know, I'm not that tough as it is, and tattoos, like I say, they might not make me tough, but people might think I'm tough, and that's good. You know, like, I don't know if you saw the movie Cape Fear with Robert De Niro, the remake. And at the beginning, De Niro's in the jail cell working out. He's got his shirt off, his torso's covered in tats. And the camera shows it pans through the jail bars. And De Niro's working out, and then you can see on his back, he's got this big-ass tattoo of the scales of justice, truth and justice. And they're weighing even. And it's a cool, badass tattoo. He looks tough, you know, because you're working out in jail without your shirt on, too. So, you know, that's one example of looking tough with a tattoo. Another example is, you ever go to the beach? Like, we used to go down to the river and, you know, get all fucked up. Everyone's in their bathing suits, you know, checking out everyone else. You get wasted, you dive in the murky water with submerged rocks and stuff. It's not the safest activity, but that's what we did anyway. But you know, when everyone's in their bathing suits, you can see who's got tattoos and what tattoos, and check out all the cool tattoos. And you know, it seemed like a lot of the time there'd be some big ass giant motherfucker over there, and you'd be going, holy shit, man, look at that guy. He's like got a whole fifth of Jack Daniels or Cuervo. And he takes a big guzzle off it and turns around. His back's covered with the fucking Trans Am Firebird tattoo. His whole back. And you and your friends are going, look at that dude. Why don't you go start some shit with him? And your buddies are like, fuck you, man. You go start some shit with him. And the fact is, nobody starts any shit with him, because he's a giant motherfucker, drinks out of the whole fifth of fucking Cuervo, and has a Firebird Trans Am tattoo on his back. Who the hell wants to fuck with him? Nobody knows if he's tough or not. He might be a total fucking wuss. But you're not going to find out, because you give him the benefit of the doubt, because look at the fucking guy. So that's another example, you know, just looking tough because you're tattooed. Plus, if you're going to get your whole fucking back tattooed, usually you pick something pretty cool to put on there, not some lame-o shit, because it's your entire back. So I like that. That's a hobby I might do. You know, and if you don't do your whole back, you know, there's other options. You can get sleeves. You know, that's where you get your tat from your wrist all the way up your arms. So even when you got no shirt on, or you're just wearing a wife beater, you got sleeves. You know, that's why they call them sleeves. Those are awesome. I got some buddies with sleeves, and I dig those. You know, like Mike Ness. Mike Ness, the singer and founder of Social Distortion, great band. He's got sleeves. He's got a lot of tattoos. Mike Ness. Everyone wants to be like Mike Ness, right? Fuck, he's got a lot of fucking clones out there. The scientists, they're never going to have to worry about cloning Mike Ness, because I'll tell you why. Because on every corner of every rock club in every city, there's a couple dozen Mike Ness clones hanging out, milling about out front. So this is a guy we don't need to clone, because the clones have already created them. They're already out there. And I like to fuck with them myself. I'll walk by and I'll go, whoa, you're Mike Ness. And the guy will be like, no. And I'm like, well, Mike Ness must be your idol then, right? And they're like, fuck you, who's Mike Ness? And I'm like, fuck you, like you don't know. Fucking clone. They know who he is. Why else would you become a clone if you don't know who he is? Of course they know who he is. In San Francisco, I think 50% of all the bartenders are Mike Ness lookalikes. At least at the rock clubs and the dives. You know, if you go to the San Francisco Symphony, there's a guy who pours the Chablis at the intermission. Probably not a Mike Ness clone, but you never know. You never know. They have to wear long sleeve shirts. You roll up his sleeve. Maybe he's got tat sleeves too. I don't know. I do know in LA the number is more like 90% of all bartenders in LA are Mike Ness lookalikes, because that's a prerequisite. When you apply for a job as a bartender in Los Angeles and you show up for the interview and the guy looks at you and he says, I'm sorry, but you don't even look like Mike Ness. What the fuck are you doing here? You know, it doesn't work. And the guy's like, hey, who's Mike Ness? Dude's like you don't know. Get the fuck out of here. If you don't know Mike Ness, no job. And that's the way it is. But tats, I like tats. You know, I don't want to be a clone, but tattoo's an option. And also, in the long similar lines is the piercings, which is a cool hobby too. A lot of people some people get pretty extreme. You remember Jim Rose, the Jim Rose Circus? Went around with Lollapalooza a while back. And there they get the guys who pierce your tits and hang by chains by your pierced tits on these hoops. That's pretty extreme. That's like a piercing statement, which is cool. That's a tough hobby. But for me, I like to be more mobile in my hobby. And if I'm hanging by pierced hoops through my tits on chains, I'm tough, but I'm not mobile. I'm stuck. So I don't want to do that hobby. That's another hobby that I like to watch other people do that. But there's a lot of other piercings you can get, like barbells. I like barbells. And I see people, they'll get a barbell through their nose. And that's pretty cool. That's tough. That's a kind of a caveman motif. I could see that being pretty cool. Camping, you know, you make your fire. You got your barbell, barbecue over the fire. That's cool, you know. So what else with piercings? That I do like barbells, and I'm thinking I haven't seen anyone that has a barbell and they put through their neck. And so I started looking into that, and I don't want one of these aerobics barbells that you see, like these chicks barbells. They're colors like orange or green, like a lime green fuzzy barbell. I don't fuck that kind. I want a real iron barbell, old school, not too heavy, a pound or two, like a kilo. Probably be about the weight of a super burrito, because like right there, because I could carry that around. It's not too much of a burden. I want to carry it around maybe every day, because it's part of my new persona, you know, to go with my hobby and my whole deal. So I think, you know, I like this idea. I think it's probably got to be like sterilized really good, because when you do a piercing, if you don't, it's infected and shit. But I don't get too worried about it, because I figure these piercing guys, they know their trade. They know their craft. They're professionals. And I got one close to my house. I go down there. You know, I'm ready to do this. I go down there, I start telling the guy, look, man, here's my idea. I figure he's going to be like, fuck yeah, let's do this. And be gung-ho on piercing my neck. You know, but he's not. And he's like really hesitant. And he's like looking at me, he's, I don't know, man. I don't know, because you got vital organs in your neck. And like, you know, you got your esophagus and your jugular, you know. And I'm like, I'm pissed. I go, no, man, I don't know vital organs. I don't know, because I'm not the piercing guy. That's not my job. You're the piercing guy. That's your job. So you're the one who knows. And he's like, and we didn't connect. I fucking ended up bailing his store, you know, and I wasn't too happy. But I figured, hey, chill out, because these piercings, they're a personal thing, and you don't just go to the first corner store. You want to shop around and find a relationship with your piercing person. Same with tattoos. It's kind of personal, you know. So I'm not too worried about it. There's a lot more other piercing places. So I go down to another one, and I tell the guy what's up, and this guy, he's even worse. This fucking so-called piercing punk with the tackle box face has the nerve to tell me that it's going to be a liability problem for him in his business to pierce my neck. And I tell the guy, I go, man, liability? I go, this word shouldn't exist in the punk world. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, the whole idea of the subculture is that you have no liability. But he just doesn't fucking get it. He thinks he can sit around and have a few piercings and sell subhuman stickers all day from behind the counter, and then he's punk rock. And he just doesn't fucking get it. So I bailed his fucking shop too. Fuck him. He was a dick too. There's plenty more. I went to another one, but I went to a few, and it was disappointing. It was a disappointing outing for me because I'll tell you, I was getting excuses every which way. I went to another guy, and I told him, you know, my deal with what I want, and he again went into this vital organs excuse. He's like, you know, you've got your trachea runs there. He goes, and right behind is your spinal column. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck this bullshit, man. That's a fucking excuse. Spinal column, my ass. The fact of the matter is you're lazy, like all the rest of these guys that work at these places. They're lazy and they don't want to do their jobs. And that's kind of the problem with the world today, isn't it? In my opinion, is these lazy fucking punks, nobody wants to do their fucking job anymore. I went into another place, the final place, and I just walked in. I said, look, man, I've been all around town. My project, my idea is simple. I want to get a 2-pound fucking barbell pierced through my fucking neck. Now, can you do it or not? Because if you can't do it, let's go outside, out where your sign says piercings, rip down your piercing sign, throw it to the fucking ground, and close your so-called shop up. Because evidently, if you can't do it, you're not really a piercing shop, are you? No.